There are some people who hold the view that it doesn't matter who owns Scotland's land. They don't mind that Scotland's pattern of private land ownership is probably the most concentrated in the world. Some are relaxed that anyone in the world can buy large amounts of land in Scotland with relatively little scrutiny. On these benches, we do believe it matters. It matters that less than 1% of Scotland's people still own 2/3 of Scotland's rural land. The story of who owns Scotland is a long history of inequality, and we need to write a new chapter. The current Land Reform Bill is the latest attempt to spread the ownership of Scotland's land into the hands of the many, not the wealthy few. And Scottish Labour absolutely supports the principles of the bill, because we know that land reform is a journey that is far from over. And we haven't waited for the government to do all the work. My colleague Mercedes Vialba consulted on a members' bill a couple of summers ago, and I hope that that work is very much being looked at by the government as we try to improve this bill. Because we believe that rural communities deserve the opportunities that can be unlocked if land is owned, managed and used in the public interest. And our ambition is for urban communities to also benefit. As a Central Scotland MSP, I know there is an over-reliance on speculative private developers, and that contributes to the acquisition of strategic land banks. We've heard about the community right to imbibe. We need that to be more meaningful and to actually be a reality. We know that wealthy landowners are powerful and have huge influence over decisions that impact on the people of Scotland. A Scotland that aspires to be modern and democratic needs to change this. I heard Tim Eagle speak about large estate owners gifting small plots of land to local people to build homes, but our communities deserve to have greater control over their own destiny. They deserve choice. They don't deserve charity. As a member of the Net Zero Energy and Transport Committee, I am in a very privileged position where I have been one of the 7 committee MSPs who have been scrutinising the Land Reform Bill. We have read and listened to a colossal amount of evidence, and like the convener, I am hugely grateful to everyone who has contributed. And a special word of thanks must be recorded for the committee clerks and Spice colleagues. But I also recognise that the Cabinet Secretary and her officials have worked really hard to reach this stage. I know that Mary Goujon has signalled her intention to leave the Parliament at the end of this session, and there will be opportunities to say nice things about her closer to the time. Because despite all the doom and gloom that we've heard from the Tory front bench today, there is a majority in this Parliament to advance Scotland's land reform journey. The committee's Stage 1 report recommends the general principles of the bill to Parliament. However, we do make some really important recommendations on how the bill should be improved, strengthened and where more clarity is required. So I welcome the Cabinet Secretary, her letter to the committee last night, but also restating today that she will continue to listen, reflect and work with MSP, stakeholders and, importantly, those grassroots voices, because we need to make sure the bill is amended at Stage 2 and in a coherent way. And I agree with the Cabinet Secretary that Scotland should be a land of opportunity. But we need to be bold to ensure that Scotland is not just a playground for the extremely wealthy. And I think there are some in the chamber today who would gladly just keep it that way. So we need to work hard to make sure that we can be bold and ambitious at Stage 2 and Stage 3. My colleague Rhoda Grant, who also attended Stage 1 sessions and has championed land reform throughout her political service, has set out areas where Scottish Labour will seek to improve the bill. And that includes on public interest tests, and I was really glad to hear Michael Matheson speak about that too, because I think the government does need to have a bit of courage in this area and has to be bolder. Rhoda Grant also talked about areas that Scottish Labour will bring forward amendments or support others, particularly in relation to thresholds and lotting, and on the role of the Land and Communities Commissioner, because we believe that the Commissioner should have the ability to proactively investigate potential breaches of community engagement obligations. And I'll take a brief intervention.
Fergus Ewing.
Well, I'm grateful to Monica Lennon. Does she? There are obviously some landowners
do act against the interests of communities. A small number. But does she also accept that a very large number actually very often do far more to contribute, to invest in, to support and develop businesses, people, individuals in their communities than the public sector does? And we should surely encourage that rather than take measures which risk it coming to an end.
Monica Lennon.
Well, any good practice is always welcome, but what I'm hearing from Fergus Ewing today is an alliance with the Tories who don't want land reform, and it's a shame that Fergus Ewing feels that way too. To draw to a conclusion, I've missed a few things out now, but I want to just touch on something that Finlay Carson said, because he warned about the economic implications of this land reform bill. Well, maintaining the status quo or allowing landowners to become even more powerful in Scotland will also have serious economic implications. So I want to end by commending to the Chamber a blog by the economist Laurie McFarlane, because he wrote that he wrote that land is Scotland's most important economic asset. How the land is owned, managed and used plays a fundamental role in shaping Scotland's economic, social, environmental and cultural landscape. I completely agree. That's why Scottish Labour will work with the Government to support the bill at stage 1 and improve it. But, Presiding Officer, this is not Scotland's first land reform bill. I don't think it should be the last. We can improve this bill, but the next Parliament will have to go further, be bolder, because Scotland's land reform journey has many miles to travel yet.
Thank you. Thank you. And